What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today on A&W Fishing, we're doing something just a little bit different. We're at home, sitting on the boat, and we're gonna be talking about one of my favorite ways to catch bass in late summer, and that is flipping, and specifically flipping grass. So basically, this technique, it's a fun one. I mean, fishing heavy cover, heavy grass, flip in there, pull up, it's dead weight, or you just feel one just absolutely knock the slack in it on the fall, and then reel up, jack them, get them in the boat. I mean, it's a fun way to catch them. But guys, this is like kind of my go-to. I'd say I'm a pretty good flipper. This is kind of like one of my strong suits, one of my, what I have a lot of confidence in when it comes to fishing this time of year. And at Lake Guntersville, there's really no better place to do it than Lake Guntersville for punching grass. So basically, I'm going to start off by kind of going over like the setups that I use, and then just kind of talk about some other stuff, but like baits, everything like that. Just kind of give you kind of like my just a dive into the flipping and punching world. So basically, I got two main setups for you. One is kind of like a lighter flipping setup. I have a jig on here right now, and then my one is just my dedicated punch setup with the ounce and a half weight on there. But anyways, I'm gonna start with my lighter rod. This is not just a flipping rod. This is a Dobbins Caden 744. It's labeled as a 7.4 heavy. It's kind of more of a medium heavy. It's a little bit softer than a lot of your heavies. So, I mean, I like this rod for a bunch of different things, but what I do really like it for is flipping, anything from like a quarter to half ounce baits in cover, whether that's flipping laydowns, flipping like submerged grass, like anything like that. It's just perfect for. And then I have a Craw 200M, that's 7.4 to 1 gear ratio, Craw 200M HG, and then I have 20-pound Sunline FC Sniper on here. But that's that first setup. I flip this setup a lot, like if I'm fishing, either just kind of flipping on the edges of a grass line, or flipping in the holes in the grass, or just flipping like submerged stuff, like submerged grass, like in maybe just a little bit deeper water. This is kind of like this is just my go-to for that. And this bait that I have on here, actually the Dirty Jigs half-ounce pitching jig on here, and X-Zone Lures muscleback crawl in the back. I will also flip a Texas rig, I like to flip a 3/8 or a half-ounce Texas rig a lot in that situation, with like either like a standard bait that I'm going to talk about over here, just like a craw or creature style bait, or I'll flip a Senko in that situation too. But yeah, guys, that's kind of my first setup, and I'll link this jig down here. It's kind of my favorite jig for flipping around, lighter grass, that type of stuff, and in like, wood. And then I'll also link that trailer down there too. So that's the first setup right there, and that's just a really good setup for that type of fishing. And then the next one, this is what I use the most. This next one here, it's my heavy punching rod. This is there's really no limits with this rod. I mean, you can fish this in the heaviest of the heaviest stuff. This is actually Abu Garcia's old Veritas rods. They came out with new ones, but I don't think they have this model in the new ones, but it's a 7.9 heavy, fast action. And this labeled as a heavy, but man, this thing it's an extra heavy in my books. This thing is it's a workhorse. It definitely does. It has some tip. Oh, let me show you guys. But it has some tip there. Like, it bends a little bit, but I mean, it's not a soft tip at all. Like, I mean, this rod has some flex, which I like. I like some tip just to be able to, kind of get a good hook set in those fish, that rod just to load up. But this thing goes to backbone so fast, it just works those fish out of that cover. I like that 7.9 length. Anything with punching, I like anything like in between 7.6 to 8 foot. I like that 7.9 though, just kind of in that in between. It's not too long to where it's kind of uncomfortable to fish with, but it's not too short to where I feel like I lose some power. But yeah, that rod right there, that's a good rod. It's discontinued, unfortunately, but hey, just find a rod like this in a brand you like anything. I'll link some alternative models that are really good for flipping. I think I'm probably gonna get here pretty soon. I'm probably gonna get a Halo KS2 Elite flipping rod. But yeah, that rod right there, that's a good rod there. The reel that I have on here, also another discontinued reel, but they do have this reel in their newer, in like their Generation 5 Revos. But this is a old Abu Garcia Generation 4 Revo STX. This reel, I mean, it is a straight workhorse. So much power on this thing. Like, I have beat this thing to shreds. I've had it for about 3 years. I've thrown frogs on it a whole lot. I've punched with it, and man, it is just refuses to give up. This reel is just awesome. They have their Gen 5 Revo STX. It's also really good, but that one there, that's just a gem right there. But and then we have the line on here. This is 65 pound Power Pro Max Quattro braid on here. Anything 65 or 80 pound is really good. I just think like I just have 65 on here because that's just what I have, but both work really well. It just depends on what you want. And then let's talk about so that's kind of just the setup for the punching rod. I mean, this is the rod. I have caught some really good fish on this rod. I've boat flipped a lot of fish, and on this setup here, I'm boat flipping really anything under 7. I mean, like, this thing can boat flip big ones, like, and that's kind of what you have to do with that heavy weight flying around. You just kind of gotta get them in the boat as fast as you can. And another thing that I like to do is why I had this heavy of a setup is I don't like to go in and get those fish if I don't have to. Like, sometimes they'll get really stuck in there. You'll have to show a motor in there. You'll have to reach down and get them. I like to, if I can, pull those fish out of the mat, because if there's more fish in that mat surrounding that fish, if there's a little group of them, a lot of times they'll get spooked if you have to go in there and get that fish. But if you can just drag them out, a lot of times you have a better chance of catching multiple fish in one spot. But I'm gonna talk about kind of a weight. This is an 1.5 ounce tungsten here. I have 2 bobber stoppers on there. Bobber stoppers are super important when you're flipping heavy cover. That's the only time I use bobber stoppers on a Texas rig. I have 2. Whenever I'm flipping above 1 ounce, I put 2 on there. But then when I'm flipping like below 1 ounce, like a 3/4 or a half, I only put 1 on there. But yeah, heavy braid is essential, heavy rod, high speed reel. This is an 8.1 to 1 gear ratio reel. And yeah, it's just a awesome setup to fish with, just a dream. But yeah, that's my heavy flipping setup there. And the hook, my favorite hook here, this is a Trocar. It's the TK135. It's their monster flipping hook, not the TK130. TK130 is just their standard flipping hook. I like it for, fishing with either heavy fluorocarbon or a little bit lighter braid, but with 65 pound braid or heavier. And this just beefier rod, I like to go to the super heavy flipping hook. That's a 4-aught right there. And the bait that I have on here, this is a Reaction Innovations Sweet Beaver and Junebug. I'm gonna go over kind of the 3 baits that I mainly flip, like the main beaver style baits that I'm gonna flip. And also another thing is punch skirts. I rarely flip punch skirts. I have some, I've caught fish with them, but I just think that, sometimes I feel like I just get more bites without the punch skirt sometimes. But there are situations where a punch skirt, like, they'll eat that way better than they will without one. It just, I don't know, it's kind of just depends. A lot of times I'm gonna start without one, and if I'm not getting bit that much, I may switch over. But yeah, I'm gonna go over the 3 baits that I kind of use a lot. They're all different. So basically we have, this is kind of like it's like a more of an aggressive style bait. It kicks a lot more. This is an X-Zone Lures Adrenaline Craw, 4 1/4 inch in Junebug here. Let me pull one out of the package for you guys. So that's the bait right there. Has these nice little claws on them. I'm gonna tear them apart for you guys. And that bait just kicks a lot, has a really nice profile. It goes through the match really well because there's no like extra, appendages out here. But yeah, that bait right there, that is a killer. When those fish are just wanting more action, that is a great bait to be flipping with. The second one is probably, this is the one that I use the most. This is the Missile Baits D-Bomb here. It's a, I think it's a 4-inch bait. It doesn't say here. But it's a 4-inch bait, pretty sure, 4 or 4.5, something like that. And it's kind of like a beaver style bait. I'm gonna pull it out of the package for you guys. This pack only has 1 left. I definitely need to get some more of these for upcoming trips, but that's the color, or that's the bait right there. I'll also link good colors for these baits too, down in the description, but that's the bait. It's kind of like a beaver style bait. It has these little like ridges up here. I guess that's just kind of to hide your hook or whatever. I don't know how, I don't think it helps or hurts that much anyways, but it's kind of pretty cool. But anyways, it has these little 2 appendages down here, like these little small ones, which I don't know what they do, but it's just a great profile. I forgot the name of this color. Let me look. It's a Copper Chopper. That's a good little color. It has that little light blue with the green pumpkin on the back. My favorite color is Superbug. It's like a black and blue flake on one side and then a green pumpkin on the other. That's just like my go-to. If I'd have one, I'll link that down in the description as well, or I'll put that down in the description as well. And this bait, it's kind of like, it kicks a little bit. It has a little bit of action, but it's not like nearly as much as the Adrenaline Craw. It kind of has a little bit of a vibration when it goes down, but it's not like a lot, you know. And that's kind of like my go-to. That's kind of like the in-between bait that I throw a lot. And yeah, I've caught a lot of big fish on this bait here on Lake Guntersville. But let me put this bait back in the package, guys, and I will pull out some other baits. Let's see here. Then my next one, this is what, if you guys saw the video that we just posted, this is what Weston caught his big one on. He was flipping this one. This is the Reaction Innovations Sweet Beaver. This is a 4.2 inch bait. So same size as kind of all the other ones really. In Junebug here, this is the exact bait he was flipping. This bait is a really subtle bait, has no action, like no kicking action. It almost kind of like glides a little bit in the water. It's hard to explain, but really subtle bait. You can see those tails on the end, they're just straight. This is just a classic bait. This bait has been around for a very long time and it is still catching big ones. But that bait there, that's just a kind of more of a subtle presentation. If I'm not getting bit on those other baits, then I'll probably swap to this one. And then also there's downsizing baits too. Like another downsized bait that I like to throw is it's a Zoom Speed Craw, UV Ultra Vibe Speed Craw. That's another really good one if you're kind of wanting to downsize, get a little bit more finessey. That's like a 3.5 inch bait, I think. And of course, there's another one. It's the Gambler BB Cricket. That's another great one. But I'll link these baits down below. I mean, hopefully I have enough room. I'll link these two setups down here. And yeah, I mean, anyways, it's kind of some of the setups, some of the baits that I'm going to be doing for flipping. And basically, when I'm flipping mats, there's a few types of cover that I'm going to be focusing on. First off, that's reeds, of course, like reeds, kind of like pencil reeds that are going to be kind of around the bank or out in the middle, just whatever, that type of stuff. I'll pop a picture up on the screen here of reeds. And then there's also hydrilla. Hydrilla is a great type of grass. Like hydrilla and coontail, they're really similar, but I'll pop a picture up of those on the screen. And then also you have eelgrass. Eelgrass, there's a lot of that on Guntersville. It kind of gets chopped up and mats over on the surface. And then lily pads. Lily pads are a staple. I mean, fish just hold on lily pads on those pad stems. And then another, one of the things that I really, really like to find is when I have a mix of 2 or 3 of those grasses. That is something that I really love to target, when there's a mix of those grasses. And that can kind of make a big mat, a big canopy, and that those fish will hold under. I like to find matted grass on top with kind of like what I like to call a canopy under it. So it's like the mat that provides shade for those fish, and then there's grass growing under it for those fish to kind of sit in and ambush those bluegill. So basically, forage holds under these mats, like bluegill, crawfish. I had yesterday, it was the last video you saw, but we were actually out there yesterday. We had one of the bass spit up a huge crawdad in the live well. It was crazy. It was a big red crawdad. It was kind of insane. It's kind of nasty too, but anyways. But yeah, these fish, they get under these mats, they find the forage, and that's kind of where you want to be. And also another little tip to look for, kind of a sneaky tip, is find those mats that have bluegill popping. You'll kind of hear it. It sounds like you'll just hear like a little faint popping noise. It's almost like popcorn popping, kind of, sort of. And that's those bluegill feeding on the top of those mats and kind of getting, active in those mats. And that's a good sign whenever you're looking for, if you hear those bluegill popping, that there's bluegill around, and that probably means there's bass around. But yeah, guys, weight size when it comes to punching or flipping, it kind of really just depends for me. If I'm fishing, a little bit lighter, I'll go down to as much as like a 3/8 in some scenarios, but that I'm not, flipping grass. But you kind of have to experiment with that. If I'm fishing again, like that kind of submerged grass or stuff, like I've caught some fish on Guntersville this year, flipping a stick bait on a 3/8 ounce tungsten on this setup here, kind of flipping in some really sparse stuff, and that type of stuff. And then I'll go up to as much on Guntersville as 1.5 ounces. I never really go above 1.5 ounces, but there are times where you want either like a 1.75 or a 2 ounce if you get those really, really thick mats. But a 1.7 or a 1.5 ounce, a 1.5 ounce, that will get the job done most of the time. I have no idea what tungsten this is, but it's all the paint's getting chipped off and all that type of stuff. I mean, this just whole deal is just such a great way to catch fish in the summertime. I mean, it is awesome. It's a great way to catch them. I love it. It's so fun. I mean, when you just hook a big one of those mats, you're pulling them out of there. You have no idea if it's going to be a 2-pounder or a 6-pounder, and it's just awesome. It's just like when you go down to get those fish, you're like, it's like a Christmas present. You're like, is it a little one or is it a big one? You just don't know until you get that fish in the boat. But yeah, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. I enjoyed this, teaching you guys kind of some of the things that I look for when I'm flipping. And yeah, I'll link the stuff that we talked about in the description below. And again, thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you guys next time on A&W Fishing.